I want to show you just how easy it is to do some complex number operations with your TI-Nspire. We're going to go through these examples, but stick around because I've got some hidden tools for you as well. I want to start with this addition right here. Well, to get anything in terms of a complex number into the calculator, we need to know where that imaginary unit I is, and it is not the letter I on your keypad. So to do this first addition, I do want to put that first complex number in parentheses. So my parentheses over here by 0, so open parentheses, and then I want 5 plus I. So 5 plus I lives in this little pi key here. These are your quick symbols. So as I click pi, there is I, so I get 5 plus I. Close your parentheses, and to that we're going to add -3 plus 2i. So parentheses, little negative down there by the enter, and then 3 plus 2i. Pi, and then I get my I, parentheses, and then enter. Now, super easy, but your teacher might instead ask you to show the steps. You can check it with your calculator, but here are the steps that you need. When you're adding them, you are going to combine your real parts, the parts without the I, the real parts, and the imaginary parts, the parts with the I. You're going to add each of those together, and we end up with the same answer. Next, let's take a look at a subtraction example. Now let me step through this one as if you needed to show all of your steps. So to show your steps, you would first distribute that subtraction, that negative, into the parentheses, and that's going to give us 3i minus 5 minus 4i. Then we're going to take our real part, there's only one, that -5, and let's go ahead and combine our imaginary part, 3i minus 4i. 3 minus 4 gives us a -1 or a -i. Sometimes these are quicker by hand than with the calculator, but we can check it for sure with the calculator. So I'm going to start this one with a 3i, so 3 pi, grab my I, and then I want to subtract, so the subtraction above the enter, so subtract, parentheses, and then I've got that 5 plus 4 pi to get my I, pi I, and then parentheses, and then enter, and we get that -5 minus I. Let me clear what I've got here. So I'm going to go menu, actions, and then clear history. Okay, next up is multiplication. Now with multiplication, we're going to do this like FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. And as we do that, we end up with these 4 terms. I've got an I squared there on the end, but I squared is equal to a -1. So I can replace the I squared with a -1. And then we combine our real parts and our imaginary parts, and we end up with -2 plus 23i. Now this one might be 100% worth it to do it with your calculator. Let's type this one in. So parentheses, close parentheses, and then just open parentheses again. You don't need to put the multiplication symbol in. And then enter, and there's that -2 plus 23i. Now the next example is division, and division is one of the trickiest ones to do, but if I were your teacher and I were testing you on this, I would absolutely make sure that you could show me your steps. So here's what you're going to do, but we're going to let the calculator help out as well. So showing our steps, we know that to divide by that 1 plus I actually need to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate. Top and bottom so I don't change the value. Conjugate changes the sign in the middle, so I multiply top and bottom by 1 minus I. Now that gives me 2 multiplications to do. So in your calculator, you could type in this numerator, 3 plus 2i times 1 minus I. That would be great. And then do the same for your denominator. We end up with a 5 minus I all divided by 2. Let's see what this looks like in the calculator. So I'm going to put in the numerator, so 3 plus 2i. Divided by that 1 plus I. Enter, and we get an equivalent solution. 5 halves minus 1 half I is the same as 5 minus I. Everybody's divided by a 2. Next up are powers, and powers are so incredibly easy to do with the TI-Nspire. Just make sure that you put whatever your complex number is in parentheses first. So I want to do a 3i. Let's do parentheses 3i. close parentheses. I want to raise that to the third power. So I'm going to use my caret key here, 2 over from the number 4. So caret, and then 3, and then I just hit enter, and I get a negative 27i, super easy. And then we've got an I to the 17th. This is the only case where you don't need parentheses. So I'm going to go directly to that I symbol. So pi, and then the I. I'm going to raise that to the 17th power, and I end up with an I as my answer. Finally, I've got a 2 plus 3i squared. I can use my squared key for this one right next to the number 4, so squared, and I end up with a negative 5 plus 12i. Now there are also some hidden complex number tools that you can get from your number menu. I'm going to go into menu here right from the scratch pad, so menu, and then I want number, which is number 2, and we want some complex number tools, which is number 9, and from here you can get to the real part, the imaginary part, that complex conjugate that we worked on, and some more things as well. Your TI-Nspire does so much. Check out this video next.